Welcome to Earth. Independence Day wasn't just a summer blockbuster, it was a full-blown cinematic invasion. Audiences saw exploding landmarks, dogfights in the sky, and Will Smith punching aliens. But behind the spectacle, chaos reigned. Models collapsed, actors clashed with studio executives, and even the White House weighed in on production choices. Today, we're tearing back the curtain with 20 weird facts about Independence Day. Some will shock you, others will make you laugh, and one bonus fact at the end might just change how you see the entire movie forever. Strap in. Let's begin. The White House didn't approve the title. When Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin pitched the movie, 20th Century Fox executives wanted to call it Doomsday or Sky on Fire. The phrase Independence Day sounded too patriotic and risky for international sales. But Emmerich fought hard. He even filmed President Whitmore's rousing speech early, shouting, "Today, we celebrate our Independence Day," to lock in the title. Once executives saw the dailies, they had no choice. The title stuck, and it became one of the most iconic in cinema history. What audiences didn't know. The U.S. White House declined to endorse or cooperate with filming because they didn't want to appear like they were promoting the movie. It wasn't just a film name, it was a battle against studios and politics alike. Will Smith almost didn't get the role. Today, it's impossible to imagine Independence Day without Will Smith striding across the desert dragging an alien. But at the time, studio executives were hesitant. Smith was best known for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, not action movies. Some worried audiences wouldn't accept a black lead in a global sci-fi spectacle. Dean Devlin later admitted it was a huge fight. Fox didn't want him. Emmerich and Devlin threatened to take the movie elsewhere unless Smith was cast. They won. Smith's performance turned him into one of the biggest box office stars of the late 90 seconds. Not just a gamble, but the gamble that saved the movie. The alien ships were too heavy to move. The massive alien destroyers hovering over cities weren't CGI. The filmmakers built huge models up to 30 feet across for practical shots. Each weighed hundreds of pounds. When suspended on rigs, they often cracked or collapsed under their own weight. Crew members scrambled with steel reinforcements, and one model nearly crushed an effects technician when it slipped. What audiences didn't know, many of the most iconic CGI shots are actually old-school models composited onto film. The ships didn't just hover, they strained the very limits of 1,990 seconds visual effects technology. Empire State Building shot nearly failed. The explosion of the Empire State Building became the film's marketing hook, but the shot almost didn't happen. The crew built a detailed 12-foot model of the skyscraper and planned to blow it up with fire cannons. On the first take, the pyrotechnics misfired, producing nothing but smoke. With only one model built, failure would have cost the sequence. After frantic overnight repairs, the second take delivered the fiery blast we see on screen. What audiences didn't realize? That 10-second shot required weeks of prep, a nail-biting reset, and thousands of dollars in explosives. It wasn't just a building exploding, it was the production hanging by a thread. F. Goldblum rewrote his dialogue. Jeff Goldblum didn't just play scientist David Levinson, he rewrote much of his dialogue on set. Known for his halting, quirky style, Goldblum insisted lines be restructured to fit his rhythm. Dean Devlin joked that Goldblumified the script. What audiences didn't know. Some of the most memorable exchanges, including his technobabble about uploading a virus to alien motherships, were improvised mid-scene. It wasn't just acting, it was Goldblum bending the script into something that felt alive, eccentric, and unpredictable. That nervous cadence turned what could have been dry exposition into unforgettable character work. The U.S. military walked away. Originally, the filmmakers approached the Department of Defense for support, asking for jets, uniforms, and even consultation. At first, the Pentagon seemed interested, but when they read the script, they demanded one change: remove all references to Area 51. Emmerich and Devlin refused. The military pulled out. That's why all the fighter jets in Independence Day are actual rented planes from museums and private collections, not government-supplied hardware. What audiences didn't know: cutting ties with the Pentagon nearly doubled the budget for flight scenes. But in return, the film kept its conspiracy theory edge intact. Not just a movie about aliens, but one that dared to poke at the most secretive base in America. The Oval Office was a miniature. Those sweeping shots of the White House being obliterated weren't CGI. They built a highly detailed miniature of the White House 20 feet wide and astonishingly realistic. Pyrotechnics teams spent days wiring it with explosives. When the big moment came, the model didn't just crumble. It disintegrated in a perfect plume of flame and debris, captured at high speed with multiple cameras. That single explosion became the marketing centerpiece, featured in trailers and TV ads worldwide. What audiences didn't realize: the explosion was so powerful, it destroyed nearby equipment, and crew members cheered like they were watching history itself being rewritten. Not just movie magic, but the birth of one of cinema's most unforgettable images. Vivica A. Fox risked her life in the tunnel scene. One of the film's most harrowing sequences shows Jasmine Vivica A. Fox outrunning fire in a freeway tunnel. The fireball wasn't CGI. The production used controlled gas blasts roaring down the miniature tunnel set. Fox performed her reaction live, running from an inferno that was hot enough to melt set pieces. Crew members sprayed her with cool air between takes to prevent burns. What audiences didn't know: Fox refused a stunt double, saying she wanted her character's desperation to feel real. That fireball scene remains one of the most terrifyingly practical stunts in the movie. Not just acting, but survival on camera. Randy Quaid improv turned into a plot twist. Randy Quaid's character, Russell Casse, was originally scripted to die in a quiet crash before the final battle. But during rehearsals, Quaid suggested something bolder. What if Russell deliberately rammed his jet into the alien weapon in a kamikaze strike? The directors loved it. They rewrote the climax, turning Russell into a martyr. "Hello, boys, I'm back!" Wasn't in the script, it was Quaid's improvisation. What audiences didn't know: his over-the-top delivery saved the film from a flat ending. Russell's sacrifice became one of the movie's most cheered moments, showing that sometimes the wildest ideas come from actors off the cuff. The dog Boomer became a star by accident. Remember Boomer, the golden retriever who leaps to safety in the tunnel explosion? That shot was never supposed to be so dramatic. The trainers planned a simple dash, but when the pyrotechnics fired, Boomer jumped right at the perfect moment, leaping across the screen as flames erupted behind him. The editors slowed it down, giving audiences one of the most iconic dog survives moments in cinema. That scene tested off the charts in audience previews. People cheered louder for Boomer's survival than for some of the human characters. Not just comic relief, but proof that sometimes a dog steals the entire movie. The Area 51 sets were built in secret. Since the Pentagon refused cooperation, the filmmakers leaned into Area 51 lore. They built vast underground hangar sets on a soundstage in Utah, crafting tunnels, labs, and storage bays. Security was so tight that extras weren't allowed to bring cameras, and even some crew didn't see the full designs until shoot day. What audiences didn't know: Emmerich and Devlin deliberately fed the press rumors about secretive filming to boost the conspiracy aura. For weeks, tabloids speculated the film used real government blueprints, not just set design, but a PR masterstroke blurring reality and fiction. A stuntman's face got singed off camera. During the chaos of the citywide destruction sequences, explosions were staged in scaled-down city sets. On one take, the fireballs went higher than planned, singeing a stuntman's eyebrows and hairline. Though he wasn't seriously injured, the incident shook the crew. They doubled safety checks for every fire gag afterward. What audiences didn't know, nearly every fiery building collapse you see on screen involved real fire, real heat, and people risking their safety behind the lens. It wasn't just spectacle, it was danger choreographed frame by frame. Will Smith's Desert March was brutal. Dragging an alien across the desert sounds funny on screen, but the shoot was brutal. Smith had to haul a 40-pound foam alien prop across scorching Utah sand under relentless Sunday. Crew reported the heat pushed 110 degrees, and Smith joked, "This alien weighs more than me." He stayed in character, muttering and cursing as cameras rolled, giving the sequence its weary authenticity. What audiences didn't know, Smith's exhaustion was very real. Those sweat-drenched shots weren't makeup, they were survival, not comedy but endurance. The iconic speech was filmed on a rain delay. Bill Pullman's legendary presidential speech almost didn't happen. The scene was scheduled for an outdoor night shoot, but torrential rain flooded the set. With time running out, Emmerich grabbed cameras, rewrote the call sheets, and filmed the speech in the middle of a downpour, using just enough lighting to make it work. Pullman delivered the monologue, shivering in wet clothes, surrounded by extras standing in mud. What audiences didn't know, that raw, desperate energy came from real exhaustion. The rain gave the scene an unplanned grit, turning it from generic rallying cry into cinematic legend. The mothership interior was made of junk. The inside of the alien mothership looks vast, metallic, and alien. In reality, it was a patchwork of scavenged parts. Production designers raided scrapyards for old circuit boards, car parts, and industrial junk, gluing them into bizarre, repeating patterns. Spray paint and neon lighting transformed trash into otherworldly walls. What audiences didn't know, the same few pieces were reused again and again, sometimes flipped upside down or sideways to stretch the set design budget. Not CGI wizardry, but good old-fashioned recycling, making alien technology out of Earth's garbage. 16. The opening shot was stolen from NASA. The eerie first image Earth, slowly rotating in space, shadowed by the alien ship, wasn't built from scratch. The effects team borrowed high-resolution NASA satellite photography, layering the model over real planetary images. They tweaked lighting to give Earth a haunting glow, but the foundations were genuine government images. What audiences didn't know, NASA initially balked at lending the footage, worried the movie might sensationalize science. Emmerich argued that real photos gave the film credibility. In the end, the opening carried a subliminal weight. It wasn't just a special effect. It was our world, under siege.